Vale, bueno, sí, and hopefully I have an easier time capturing my recording this week than last week. Sorry about that, but that came later. Muy bien. Buenos días y bienvenidos,
Buenos días.
bienvenidas. ¿Cómo están todos hoy? ¿Cómo están?
Muy
Ah,
bien,
muy bien.
Estoy
¿Bien?
bien.
muy
Bien.
bien.
¿Bien? Excelente. Sí. Aquí todo bien. All good.
Todo bien.
Aquí
Very good.
todo bien. Muy bien. Hoy vamos a practicar y vamos a explorar y practicar con verbos regulares y patrones and patterns. We're going to continue talking about patterns. One of the challenging things, because you learn so much from listening to videos in Spanish, listening to how words connect together, is that we want to kind of go back to some basics for this summer about sentence patterns. So one thing we talked about last week that I hope you guys can put into some practice today is word order, which is very, very simple in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases in Spanish. It also follows an English pattern that is similar of a subject and a verb, a subject and a verb. Now, the one little monkey wrench in the works that will happen is that because of all those conjugations that we have, and I'm going to put conjugations on the screen so you can be thinking about what that means and what that looks like. This is one of those basic things, pero vale la pena repasar. It's worth it to review. These verb conjugations, and for the AR verbs, for the ER and IR verbs, even though word order generally is subject, the person or thing that we're talking about, and then verb, which is the action that the person or thing is performing, even though we've got that order, because we have these conjugations in Spanish, the verb, in many cases, except for this category, except for this category here of talking about third person, what we call third person singular or third person plural, that could be any one person or any group of people. So often that is named. Often that will get a subject. Okay. Por ejemplo, for example, el chico escucha música. El chico escucha música. The boy is listening to music. El chico escucha. Escucha could stand alone without that subject, el chico, if we already had context. If I say beforehand, el chico, oh, el chico que se llama José es muy guapo. Oh, he's good looking. Uh, Once I name that I'm talking about el chico, I don't have to repeat his name afterwards if I continue to talk about him. So, el chico que se llama José, the kid whose name is Joe, ¿sí? Es muy alto, escucha música rock y estudia en mi escuela. He studies in my school. And I won't mention the subject anymore because I already know who that is. I've already mentioned them in context once. And we're going to see how that happens with a sentence first before we go into your examples. So for third person singular and third person plural, that person may be named. But you know what? For these to talk about what I am doing or to address you directly, the tú, the familiar you, or the nosotros, that verb is baked in and done. You will not hear the subject most of the time. People will very, very seldom, only for emphasis, say something like, nosotros escuchamos, or nosotros, for an ER verb, nosotros vivimos. You will only hear vivimos. You will only hear escuchamos. Okay? A yo verb, you generally won't hear the yo. They will skip that subject pronoun. You see them in this chart so that you know how they match up. Okay? But very, very often in Spanish sentences, even though we do have the structure of subject, a person or thing, and verb, the action, often we can skip subjects. All right. And we can do that because of these conjugations. Only one kind of verb corresponds to a human being or an object that is doing an activity. So even though we have that similar to English subject and verb, you may hear the subject skipped. Okay? Me? Bueno, for example, and I gotta take my share off so that I get to the right thing. So we're going to show you what that means in context when that gets skipped before we go to your actual practice. Turn on my sound. Here we go. Aquí vamos. Here we go. I think I need to have my CC turned on here. Okay. See.
This little dialogue that I wrote here.
Okay. So the dialogue shows you how you have context. When we name the subject up in front in a question or a statement to start off a conversation, that subject will often get dropped because the verb by itself is going to tell the whole story in Spanish. So here we go.
¿Cómo se llama tu gato?
What's your cat's name? And here, because it's a question, it's inverted. ¿Cómo se llama tu gato? How is your cat called? Which we wouldn't say it that way in English at all, but that's the way they say it, right? The verb is actually together, the se and the llama together. ¿Cómo se llama tu gato? We name the subject in that question, tu gato. So we already know we're going to talk about a cat. We're going to talk about an animal.
Se llama Bigotes.
Se llama Bigotes. His name is. Whereas in English, you would not say name is. Okay, bigotes is whiskers. You have to have the word his name is or he is called, right? In Spanish, we can skip the el gato part with the response because that verb se llama only corresponds to a 1Z person or thing, in this case, an animal. Yeah. So we don't have to name el gato in the response. The se llama itself, the verb phrase there, because we have to have that little se to say his name is okay by itself without the subject.
What is the name of your cat? His name is Bigotes, whiskers. ¿Y qué come?
¿Y qué come? Another question. Because we're not changing the subject, we're still talking about el gato. We don't have to repeat the el gato. We just conjugate the verb to talk about a 1Z, in this case, not a person, but el animal, the animal, right? And that means comer, an ER verb. It's just talking about one thing, come. ¿Qué come? What does he eat? ¿Qué come?
What does he eat? Come atún.
Come atún. Again, we don't name el gato because we already know we're talking about him. It's the context of the conversation. We can just have the verb by itself there, come, but then we tell what he eats, right? We have to have el complemento, an object to tell the thing that he eats. Okay? Atún. Tuna.
He eats tuna. Ah, qué adorable. Sí.
How cute.
Oh, so cute. Sí, pero trajo un ratón. Yeah, but he brought a mouse.
Okay. So you can see how El Gato, and even his name, later on, Bigotes, you could call him Bigotes later on, but we don't have to repeat these subjects. So that is one thing that is different from what we expect in English. And because your English thinking brain doesn't anticipate it, just know that a lot of times you're going to hear sentences that don't have a subject necessarily. They might just have a verb if we already know what we're talking about. Okay, a ver. Let's see what kind of ideas you might plug in. Okay. Necesito engrandecer. I need to make this bigger. Más grande. So here are the examples that we had, for example. Por ejemplo, aquí, ¿sí? Tres personas están en la foto. Three people are in the photo, right? These are all normal subject verbs. That's what we're going to start our practice with, subject and verb. And in some cases, it might be the verb by itself, if you already establish who the subject is. ¿Dónde están? Where are they? Están en una tienda de ropa. And where are they? We already know we're talking about these three people. It's a group. So we don't need the word they with the R part. We just need the R. Están is good enough because we can visually see from context that we're talking about a group of people, not just one person. Están, they're in. Están en, they're in. Location, yeah? Están en una tienda de ropa que hacen o compran ropa. And I don't need the ellos part. Or dos chicas y un chico, two girls and a guy. I don't even need to name them because I can see that I'm talking about a group. And I'm not in that group. So it's what we call third person. Compran ropa nueva, ¿sí? O compran ropa vieja. Maybe they're in a resale store. No sé. Toman un selfie. They're taking a selfie. Miran ropa. Bien. Okay. Vamos a continuar. So you see from the examples we did last week, when we already established the subject, we can often drop talking about that later on. Okay, let's see if you can continue on and answer some of these questions. And now that I've got a share screen on, I am not able to see you guys physically. So if you raise a hand, I won't see it. So you'll have to shout out and interrupt me. Interrúmpame, por favor. Interrupt me, please. Okay. ¿Cuántas personas hay aquí? How many people are here?
7.
Hay 7 personas.
Siete. Is it okay to answer with like not that subject verb with just a number?
It is?
Yeah.
Sí,
Sure.
claro. 7. 7. Okay, many
But
times.
could you start with hey?
We can
Aye.
start with, but we won't say it as hey. We'll pronounce that as
Aye.
ay.
Aye.
There we
Aye.
go. Sí,
Aye.
correcto. You're correct. Ay. We
Hay
can say
siete
that as ay. Hay 7. Hay 7 personas.
En el partido.
Personas
Hay 7 personas. O
en la
quizás,
foto.
sí, hay 7 adultos. No kids in this picture, sí. Hay 7
Right.
adultos. Quizás. Ok. Muy bien. Vale. So yes, we can include that verb. You can sometimes answer with a fragment because, yeah, that's the only key piece of information somebody asked for. How many? ¿Cuántas? So you can answer with an amount response. That works. Okay, we do that in English all the time. ¿Es una reunión formal o
Es informal.
Put an or in there. O formal.
Es informal?
Es informal. Es informal. And there we need that es.
Informal.
And notice the es is not really is, it's it is in this case. That's what we would say in English. But we don't need an it word to
Okay.
say it is for this case. Yeah. It is will only be es. The word it, I don't need. En inglés no se dice is informal. Okay. En inglés, it es importante. Yeah, the it is an important thing you really shouldn't exclude if you're speaking English, but in Spanish we exclude that word it, and it's just es. It's all wrapped up into that. Es informal. Es una reunión informal. Es una reunión informal. Ah, es una fiesta, ¿no? Es
Sí.
una fiesta, es una
Ujú.
celebración, ok.
Afuera.
A-
Es una fiesta
afuera,
afuera.
está afuera, está afuera. It's outside. Now, notice if I want to say it's outside, now I'm switching to talking about location, not what it is, you know, business meeting, barbecue, birthday party. Those are all things. They're events, things that are events. But once I start mentioning where something is located, está afuera. It's outside. Está afuera. Okay. Vale. Good. Bien. ¿Dónde están? Where are they? Besides outside.
Um,
Están
Es-
en un patio en una jardín. In a garden.
Sí.
Bien. Sí, sí. Están en un patio, en un jardín. Sí. Jardín es garden. También se usa para yard. ¿Ya?
Mhm.
El jardín. El jardín. Bien.
So that's
Están,
exchangeable, Marilyn. Yard and garden would both be jardín.
sí,
Okay.
es así. Okay.
could
You
you
may hear
also say-
people say a phrase like, and this will be a group of words, el jardín de atrás. De atrás means
Oh.
behind. And usually most people have a yard in back of their house, often, right? So, okay, bien. En el jardín, people will, yes, generally it means garden, but in this case, it's used for yard as well. Okay. ¿Qué hacen? What are they doing? And there might be many different things you could say about this. There's no one right answer. Perdón?
I said, hace hablando y comiendo.
Okay. So they're talking, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna take just that verb hablar and we're gonna make it for a group of people.
Hablan.
Hablan
Hablan. Y comen.
y comen. Boom. Hablan y comen. Hablan y comen.
Why don't you use the ando like ing? Like if I want to say they're talking.
Why don't we use an ing? Well, if we were to do it, which is possible, we would have to pair up a form of estar with the ando or the yendo. And the ando, again, is their equivalent in Spanish for an ing kind of action. Okay.
So I don't need to use a form of hacer.
No.
Okay.
Hacer
Even
is
though
in
that's
the
in the question.
Hacer is only needed in the question to say, what are they doing? Yeah. So you could answer, están hablando, right? Or, y comiendo, because comer is an ER verb, it would need yendo, right? But whenever
Right.
we have an ando or yendo thing, we have to pair it up with a form of estar. Okay, it means that that action is in progress. Now, this is the only, ¿cómo les explico? How should I explain this to you? It is grammatically correct to say, están hablando, están comiendo. It's grammatically correct. But if I ask you to describe the picture, generally, is it your understanding, your assumption that they are doing this right now while we are talking here together?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No.
Well,
I mean,
it's a picture.
right now when the picture was happening.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
my assumption.
here's, yeah, there, okay. Here's the thing. In English, well, in Spanish, the use of estar with an ando or estar with an yendo generally has the connotation of something that is happening in real time right now while we're talking. That's why it's called a progressive tense. It's in progress right now. It's in real life right now. Okay. So, por ejemplo, for example, now just these two verbs by themselves, hablan y comen, they can kind of do that job as well because they're talking about something that's going on now in the present, right now, not in the past, but right now. But this estar with ando y yendo gives it a rolling feel for it is happening in real time as we're speaking. So right now, I can say, because this is happening right now in my residence while I'm talking with you guys, mi hijo está trabajando en el jardín. Because he's doing it while we're speaking right now in real life time. That is the most frequent use of this structure of estar with an ando or yendo. Okay, ¿entienden? ¿Understand? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Okay, bien. Hablan y comen is not better than están hablando, están comiendo. But because this is a picture and it's static and it was taken, I don't know how long ago, it isn't really happening right now while we're speaking. So I would probably not use this because that picture was taken, it's a stock photo. It isn't really happening right now. Yeah.
Okay.
This would be probably preferred. Okay. This is preferred for talking about what is actually going on. So if somebody films themselves in YouTube and they're talking about people crossing the street, like behind them, and they're describing that, they'll say, están cruzando la calle. They are crossing the street because it's going on right while they're talking to you. All right. But because I'm describing a static picture that was taken, I don't know when, and it isn't really happening right now as we're speaking, it'd be hablan y comen, hablan y comen. Okay. What else might we say about these people besides hablan y comen? Other ideas? Otros verbos, other verbs? Let me do this.
Beben vino.
Ah, bien. Beben vino. They're drinking wine. Sí, hay una botella de vino. There is, it exists. Hay una botella de vino en la mesa. ¿Sí? Así que sí, beben vino. They're drinking wine. Okay, bien. Vale. What if I said to you, they're celebrating something? Take that verb celebrar and see if you can change it to say they're celebrating something. We can't just use
It'd be-
celebrar with an
yeah.
AR at the end.
It'd be celebran.
Celebran. And now let's tell what they're celebrating. What do you think they possibly might be celebrating? Celebran?
Birthday?
A birthday?
Break? Yes.
Un cumpleaños? Celebran un cumpleaños? Oh, perdón. Bump me out of my keyboard here.
Anniversary.
Yeah.
Un
Yeah.
cumpleaños, un aniversario.
Rosario. Okay, good.
Sí. Celebran el fin de semana.
Or just the weekend.
Right.
They're just celebrating the weekend.
Weekend.
Celebran celebran el día.
How do you say wedding?
Oh,
Like those chairs could look like wedding chairs, but
una
they are
boda.
dressed like they're at a wedding.
Una
No,
boda. Una
Una
boda.
boda. Okay.
Una boda. So, in the big picture of sentence structure, we've got a subject that we're not naming because we already know we're talking about this group of people. So it's just celebran, and then we have an object, the thing they're celebrating. Una boda, a wedding. El fin de semana, just the weekend. El día de independencia, Independence Day. Así, un cumpleaños, un aniversario. So we've got an action, celebran, and the thing they're celebrating, whatever that occurrence event happens to be. Okay. And there are all different ways, all kinds of different structures you might combine with that. You might combine phrases that talk about time rather than the thing they're celebrating, when they're celebrating. See, celebran por la tarde. They're celebrating in the afternoon, por ejemplo. Okay. O celebran a las 3 o a la 1, a las 2 de la tarde, telling like a time off your watch, right? There are many different ways we might combine these. Okay. A ver. All right, let's progress to time. Sorry, not time. Weather. El clima, el tiempo, ¿Qué tiempo hace? Literally in Spanish, what weather does it make? And there are 3 verbs that are often used with a whole lot, not all, but a whole lot of weather descriptions. And those are either hace, just hace by itself, because the weather makes a certain condition, yeah, or está sometimes, or hay. Those are the 3 verbs that are most commonly used with weather descriptions. So, ¿qué tiempo hace? What's the weather like?
El tiempo está bien. Fine.
Okay, so you want to say it's good weather, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't
We're
it?
gonna
It's
use
buen
hace.
then. Yeah.
Buen.
Buen. Is it B-U-E-N? Buen tiempo.
Hace buen tiempo. It makes good weather. Why isn't it bueno with an o at the end? Because we've got buen right in front of the noun tiempo, weather. And buen is one of a little class of adjective words that we slice off the o if we've got a masculine word, which tiempo is a masculine noun. Hace buen tiempo. It's good weather. Okay, so ¿cómo se dice? It's sunny.
Hace sol.
Hace sol.
The soul.
Now, you might also, instead of hace sol, somebody can also express that same idea with this combination. Está soleado. They might use either one. It doesn't matter. Those 2 phrases mean the same thing. They're just 2 different ways of expressing that same idea. Hace sol, está soleado. Bien. Okay. Vale. How about temperature? Hace frío? Is it cold?
No.
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 Calor.
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 Hello.
Okay. Notice with hace, we actually use a noun. Hace calor. Literally, it makes heat. I know. That's just the way they do it. Hace with weather, a noun. Hace calor. Hace with sun, a noun. Hace sol. See? Okay. Bien. Hace calor.
Marilyn, I have a question about the word calor. So I know maybe sometime this past year we did an exercise on all the words that can mean hot, like caliente and stuff,
sí.
right? So I guess a question I have is I was doing Duolingo and they used caloroso. And that wasn't familiar to me, but could I use hace caloroso to mean the same thing?
You can use caloroso, but caluroso is a description, not a heat noun. Calor is a noun. We can only pair up hace with a noun. Hace, sol. And notice the difference between sol, noun, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And soleado, sunny, a description. Yeah. So I can't say, there is a different word that can also mean warm. And here's the word she's talking about, caluroso. And that rather than heat, a noun, is a description, caluroso. Warm. Yeah, see? So we're going to say, what can we combine? Oh, you know what? With descriptions, this is a word, this is a verb that often combines with descriptive words. Está, está. So what we're going to pair up with caluroso is está caluroso. Está caluroso. Bien? Vale. Let me show you.
So those two words are, the difference is one means hot and the other is warm?
Calor literally is the noun that means heat.
Heat. Oh, there's a lot of heat. Okay.
Yeah. And I know it doesn't seem to make sense, but we can't translate it literally. It's just the way they combine those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether verbs or verbs that are used to talk about the weather tend to be often one of these three, unless it's a precipitation event, in which case it gets its own separate verb. Yeah. Like llueve, it's raining, right? Or nieva, it's snowing. Yeah. Something that's a precipitation event gets its own special verb. But when we want to talk about it's cool, it's warm, it's windy, it's sunny, it's cloudy, one of these three verbs, hace or está or hay, are going to be generally the three that you hear the most often to talk about weather descriptions. Bien? Okay. And notice in English, we just say it. It's sunny, right? The word it never comes into play at all in that Spanish sentence structure for weather. Yeah. The word it never appears as a separate word for weather Spanish descriptions. They don't need it. So they skip it. Bien? Okay. Vale. Bien. Is there anything else that we might talk about this picture? ¿Hay algo más? ¿No? Adelante, move on.
Move on.
Bien, ok, vale. Bueno, adelante. Moving forward. Siguiente, next. Ok. ¿Cuántas personas hay aquí? How many people are here?
Hey, aquí 5 personas.
5 personas.
5 personas. You can answer with just that cinco, or we can put a verb in there.
Hay.
There are, right?
5 personas.
Is just general. It just says something is around. Hay 5 personas. Hay 5 personas. Hay 5. Could I say employees? Do you think these are employees somewhere?
Sí.
Yes.
I could call them employees. So, hay 5 empleados.
Empleados. Oh.
Empleados. Employed people. Empleados. Bien. I'm trying to make this big enough to get fit on my mind. Okay. Hay 5 personas, hay 5 empleados. Vale. Is it? ¿Es una reunión formal o informal? Wow, why is my, you know what, my been switched onto English mode. It kept popping an or in there. It shouldn't do that. O informal. ¿Es una reunión formal o informal?
Es formal.
Es formal.
Es formal. Es
Es
formal.
formal.
Es una reunión formal. Sí, es formal. Bien.
How would you
Don-
say brainstorming? Because that's what it looks like to me. Is there a word in Spanish for brainstorming?
Brainstorming. Ay,
Creative,
hmm.
creativo,
Sí.
ideas? I don't know.
Van a pensar en ideas creativas, sí.
Creativa.
Sí, van a compartir ideas. There's no one word.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I think sometimes you hear,
Lluvia.
storm, but I think that's not used as much. Van a
Okay.
compartir ideas. Okay. Oh, let's put that in. And really, this is in the que hacen part. If we use compartir, let's look at compartir. And then let's look at if compartir is an IR verb, let's look at what we do with that IR verb. ER and IR verbs share, except not in this nosotros category. So if they share, that means we're talking about a
They
bunch of people. Compartir
comparan,
becomes
comparan,
Compartirán.
comparten.
comparan.
Comparten. Let's go back and look at that. Compartir. And I'll pop this up here. Compartir. The only thing we have to say, I get rid of this first, is this ir at the end. And we're left with compart.
Comparten.
See?
Comparten.
Comparten. Comparten. See? Comparten. Let me adjust my size here again. So this becomes comparten ideas creativas. Comparten ideas creativas.
That
Bien.
that to me would be brainstorming.
There you go.
Compartir
Yeah, that's what that
ideas.
is. Comparten ideas creativas. Bien. Okay. ¿Dónde están? Where are they? ¿Dónde
Conference room.
están?
Um,
Están en una oficina.
¿Están en una oficina? Sí. ¿Están en una oficina? Sí. Bien. Eso es todo. Sí. Están en un salón. They're in a meeting room. Sí. Están en un salón. Salón would be like an equivalent to a bigger meeting room where you fit a lot of people. Sala, S-A-L-A, is a living room. Salón is a big room. Salón makes it bigger than sala. Salón is big, and often that's used for a space
Confrontir.
where people work.
Okay.
¿Ok? Bien. Ok. ¿Y qué hacen? Comparten ideas creativos. ¿Cómo se dice? Let's take a look at this verb, which means people
Who
working.
work. Yeah.
Okay.
s-
How do I change this trabajar to say they're doing some work?
remove the R and add an N.
Trabajan.
Trabajan. Just trabajan. ¿Sí? Trabajan. And together, maybe I want to say together, right? Juntos. Trabajan juntos. Trabajan juntos. I might change that juntos to say trabajan en equipo. They're working as a
Team.
The team.
Bien. Trabajan juntos, trabajan en equipo, trabajan En un proyecto.
On a project.
Okay. On a project. Así. Bien.
Project.
Bueno. ¿Qué equipo? And here it doesn't mean team. Here it means equipment. What equipment do they have? And I don't have to mention the word they. It's just tienen. They have.
Tienen. Tienen.
Oh, okay. ¿Qué equipo
Computadoras.
tienen? Perdón.
Computadoras.
Computadores.
Tienen
What it-
computadoras. And
A,
remember,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
sí.
Y una pizarra blanca.
Yes, good.
Y una pizarra blanca.
A, notas adhesivas.
Y notas
Adhesivas.
adhesivas. And sticky notes.
Sticky notes. You got it.
Notas adhesivas. And this little H won't be pronounced, right? Because we don't pronounce H unless it's a CH together.
Okay.
Ch. And that's not a ch.
Okay.
Adhesivas. So that H has to be written, but you don't hear it.
I'll get rid of
Adhesivas.
it. Okay.
Okay.
Get rid of it.
Sí, tienen computadoras, una pizarra blanca, nota y notas adhesivas. Muy bien, fantástico.
Bolígrafos.
Sí.
Muchas bolígrafos.
Bolígrafos, sí. Bolígrafos depends on which part of the world you're in, right? Bolígrafos, bolis, they often shorten that word to just say bolis because bolígrafo is so long. And plumas,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
In many parts of Latin America, they prefer plumas to bolígrafos. Okay. A ver, bueno, sí. Hay algo más. Is there anything else about that picture that we want to talk about specifically? Sí o no? ¿No?
Nope.
¿Nada? Ok. Bien. Todo bien. Todo bien. All good. All good, all good, all good. Fantástico. So, most of our subjects and verbs are going to match up, but again, we often wind up dropping the subjects. So, let's take a look at a list that I gave you last week, because these are all going to be normal kind of verbs. They're kind of like what I like to call vanilla kind of verbs that people use a lot. And, you could say, well, what are if you Google, what are the 50 most common verbs? What are the 100 most common verbs? You're going to get a ton of different answers. Okay, you're just going to get a ton of different answers. So this was
Marilyn,
see.
could you also send us part one of this list?
I'm gonna see. Oh yeah, how did she share that? I'm gonna see part two. I'm gonna see if I can pull up both of those lists. They were kind of buried in a strange way. I'll see if I can. Yeah, let's take a look. There is no one perfect list that's going to give you like the top 50 or the top 100, but what I want you to do for next week, and I will look for the other file here. Yeah, I think the files look the same except for those numbers in the title of the file, so I have to go back and dig through for that a little bit. Usar, pagar, all of those are AR verb, AR verb. You're going to see that most of the verbs in the language, the vast majority, really, like if you made a pie chart of all the verbs in Spanish, about like 60% of them probably would be AR verbs. It is the most common kind of verb that you hear.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do for next week, la semana que viene, the next week that is coming up, is pick about 3 of these verbs off this list that you would find personal use to use. 3 that would be helpful for you to use yourself if you were talking with somebody. So that leaves it wide open, right? What you choose might be different from what the person next to you will choose, right? So pick any three and construct some little sentence to talk about a person. If I can find that first list, I will include that on the big list for you. Okay. But, por ejemplo, for example, if we just take something like usar, right? You could plug that into this picture, usar, by saying they are using computers, and that would be
Usan.
usan, and then you name the thing they're using. Usan
Yeah.
computadoras. But if I'm talking about she is using a board, like a whiteboard,
Right.
now it can't be usan with an N at them anymore. It has to change a little bit, that verb usar, into what?
Son.
Usa, no N at the end. Usa una pizarra blanca. Usa una pizarra blanca. And just by saying usa una pizarra blanca, I would automatically know, oh, you're talking only about that one person there because it's usa, talking about one person, instead of usan with an N at the end. Usan, they're using. Yeah? See? Bien? Vale.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to pick 3 verbs off that list. I'm going to look for the other list too. It might have other things that you would prefer to use. I will check that out. Bien. Vale. Okay. So let me show you something else now. Alguna pregunta? Any question before we leave that? Sí o no?
No.
No.
I think
Okay.
that's pretty
So
straightforward.
word order. The big picture is word order. And the good news is they also in Spanish use a subject, a person or thing, and a verb, the action, but sometimes they leave off that subject because the verb is so specific to tell you who exactly is doing an action. So you may hear the verb by itself. But then now we're going to look at a different thing that often happens that will throw us off. We're going to look at this little thing here.
Modem, yeah.
We're going to go back to this old story that you had last week.
Canta el cielo.
Anna and Luis.
Ana, sí.
Sí.
Ana y Luis. See, Ana responde, and we had to say she responds because it could be Ana or it could be Luis, right? So we have to name it there. We have to have that subject there so we know which of the two is doing the responde, yeah?
Mhm.
Sí, me encanta el cine. Sí, me encanta el cine. And this, me encanta, and when you hear me encanta, 2 separate words, when you hear people using it together, that e from the me is going to blend right into the e that starts the encanta. It's going to sound like all one word. Someone will never pronounce that as me encanta, 2 separate words. It'll all slide together. Me encanta.
Me
Me
encanta.
encanta. I want everybody to try. Me encanta.
Me encanta.
Me encanta.
Me
They're
encanta.
going to slide together because
Me
me
encanta.
ends in an e and encanta begins in an e. And they're going to slide together as if they were one word. Me encanta. Now, bien. This is not following that nice pattern of the subject verb. It isn't, because this is a special kind of structure. And the me encanta is very much like me gusta. It's just a magnification of me gusta. Who remembers what me gusta means?
I like.
I
It
like
means
to
I
eat.
like. But
Yeah.
the funny, funky kind of thing that we have in Spanish is that they don't really have a verb that means to like. It doesn't exist. To like as a verb doesn't really exist. So to express that same idea, they use a different kind of verb. They use either gustar or encantar. Gustar means to be pleasing. And if you said it for what it really means in Spanish, that would sound just weird in English. Nobody says this is pleasing to me. Oh, ice is pleasing to me in a drink. Nobody says that. But that's the kind of structure they have to use in Spanish. So this isn't going to follow the idea of yo, I'm doing it, or tú, you're doing it, or él, he's doing it, she's doing it, they're doing it, we're doing it. It's not going to follow that structure. All right. Some verbs, and me gusta and me encanta are two of those, are going to do this thing where the verb is not going to go into a yo or a nosotros. It's going to go into either a singular or a plural. We're going to take a look at these because these are word structures, sentence structures that start to mess with the word order you think should be properly used. Bien, ¿sí? Okay. Me encanta. Sí, me encanta el cine literally means yes. To me, it's delightful, the movies. Now, nobody's going to say that in English in that order because they look at you like you came from Mars, right? That word order in English is nonsensical, and they'd kind of know what you meant, but they'd think, geez, hard to understand this person because that's not the word order we use. But this is the word order they use for this idea, right? The thing that, and in this case, me encanta is like magnifying it. It's better than me gusta. It's better than I like. It's I love
Right.
it.
Love
I
it.
love it. When you really like something, you want to intensify it beyond I like it to say, this is the best, right? Me encanta. I love it. Me encanta el cine. I love the movies. You would say in English, right? There are many structures in Spanish that will follow this kind of word order. Okay? The me encantan, that's not a yo verb. The thing that is actually doing the action here is el cine. That's the trick. Okay? Now, this makes no sense to the English brain, but what I'm going to show you is some verbs that do this kind of thing. They're going to be like the me encanta, the same structure as me encanta. Okay? And when you listen to a typical story, these kind of verbs will come up quite a lot. They don't follow that nice little structure of the grid with yo and a form, tú and a form, él y a usted and a form, nosotros and a form, ellos y a ustedes and a form. Okay, here are typical verbs, common verbs that will not fit in that nice verb grid like you expect them to, okay? And I'll send you this whole list, okay? Gustar, and besides gustar, encantar, fascinar, interesar, importar, molestar, here's what they mean. To love it, meaning you love a thing, not love a human being, right? Gustar, you like something. Fascinar, you find it absolutely fascinating. Interesar, you're interested in something, okay? Because it is the thing that interests, it creates interest to somebody else, right? Importar, something matters. It is important to somebody. In English, we often plug in the idea of it matters. Yeah. And molestar, which doesn't look like what you think it means. The molestar means to annoy, to bother, to bug. Me molesta. It bothers me. Okay? Bien. These kinds of verbs follow the same pattern as gustar. They are set up differently from the other verbs that fit in that nice human being chart. Okay. We generally do not use these in the yo, the tú, and the nosotros conjugations. With gustar, sometimes it is, but that's like if you're like somebody's coming on to you at a bar in a bar. Okay, so yeah, with gustar it does exist, but it's talking about physical attraction, not really that you like somebody. Okay, so we're going to look at gustar and other verbs and what they do and how they're different, because this word structure, as you heard in that little story, does not follow that nice, neat subject grid of first person, second person, third person. Okay. And these are because these verbs have a special structure that that it will follow a pattern, but it will follow a different pattern than what you expect. Gustar really doesn't mean like, it means to be pleasing. Okay. So you will not see these words appear in the verb pattern structure. Here's how they will work, right? And it's going to work together with a little pronoun, right? Instead of yo, tú, él, ella, usted, ellos, ellas, ustedes, nosotros, instead of those, they're going to work with these little pronouns here. Me, te, le, again, me, te, le, and les, plural. Nos, os, les, okay? The pronoun tells who likes something or who it is important to or who it matters to, right? Depending on which verb we're plugging in there, right? Or who is annoyed by something, right? And the verb itself is either going to be a onesie verb, gusta, or a plural verb, gustan. All right. So the possible combinations are only two kind of verbs, either me gusta or me gustan. I like. Me gusta, I like one thing. Me gustan, I like something, but it's a group of things, right? Te gusta, you like something, or you like some, and it's a group of things, all right? Le gusta or le gustan. Le gusta if the thing that you like, or excuse me, if the thing that he likes, because the le means he likes or she likes, that same le word is used to talk about any one person who likes something. The gusta if the thing that is liked is a onesie kind of thing. Gustan if it's a plural kind of thing, right? If we like something, the pronoun we need is nos. Nos gusta, the thing that we like is a onesie thing. Nos gustan, the thing that we like is more than one. These are used in Spain only, so we're going to skip over them. Os is the plural of tú, or of te in this case. Os is the plural, but you won't hear those in Latin America, so we're going to skip over those. And here, the plural of le is les, and that is saying that they like, or it could be you plural, ustedes, the idea of ustedes. Les gusta, the thing that is liked is a onesie thing. Les gustan, the thing that is liked is a plural thing. Okay. Bien? And if we're talking about activities, like liking, you like to do something, it's always going to be gusta, singular. If we match it up with an action instead of a thing, it'll always be gusta. All right. So the examples are like, me gusta montar en bicicleta. I like riding a bike. Te gusta leer y escribir. You like to read and to write. See? Le gusta, he likes or she likes hablar con él. He likes to talk with him. She likes to talk with him. The le might be a guy or a gal, right? If you need to specify, you need to add a little phrase, right? Les gusta viajar. They like to travel. Nos gusta ver películas. We like to watch movies. So these kinds of verbs, and they're little categories of specific verbs, not the 50 or 100 list that you get from that previous list. These are always going to have either a gusta or a gustan, right? And they look at the thing that is liked. If the thing that is liked is an action, it's gusta, singular. If the thing that is liked is actually a physical thing, it's not an action, it's still gusta, right? So, me gusta la música, right? To me, it's pleasing music. We don't use that word order in English. We say, I like music. ¿Te gusta la comida picante? You like spicy food, right? To you, it's pleasing, spicy food. Well, okay. Yeah. So let's take gusta out and let's plug in encanta. Me encanta. Me encanta just magnifies, kind of bumps up the level of gustar to a higher level. Encantar means to love something, which is more intense than liking it. That's all, right? So I still take encantar, but I don't make it a yo to say that I love something. Because the thing that is actually doing the act connected with that conjugation of encanta is the idea of la música. Okay, so sometimes these are called backwards verbs because it's not subject verb. I love the thing. It's, to me, it's enchanting this thing. Yeah, that's the way they say it. And you have to just get used to that pattern. Me encanta la música. If, let's say, instead of loving it or liking it, let's say it really put me off. It bothered me. It bugged me. It annoyed me. Instead of using encantar or gustar, I would use molestar. But I'm not going to use a yo form for this. How would I say that music is really bothering me?
Oh,
We're going to grab molestar and use that. Me molesta la música. And really what we're saying is the music annoys me. Okay? Bien? But it won't be a yo form. Even though in English, that's kind of the way we're thinking. I'm annoyed by this. Okay? See? Eso es. So, bien. Singular things, they get a singular verb, right? So, let's, let me plug in a different thing here. Let's take some of these verbs that we're going to use here. Encantar, to love, right? Molestar, the opposite, to annoy, to be annoying. Interesar, to be interested by, or to be interested in something, right? Importar, to be important to somebody, to matter to somebody, right? The only forms you're going to hear are encanta. That one thing is the best, you love it, or encantan. Those things, you love them. You're going to hear molesta, it's annoying, or molestan. Those things are annoying, yeah? You're going to have interesa, that thing is interesting, or interesan. Those things are interesting. You're going to have importa, it matters to somebody, or importan, they matter to somebody, right? And then we have to put the little pronoun, who it matters to. Me importa, it matters to me, right? Te importa, it matters to you. Le
Right.
importa, it matters to
One.
onesie kind of human being, yeah?
Right.
Yeah. Les importan, it matters to them. Nos importa, it matters to us. So the little pronoun is going to tell who is being acted upon, right? Bum, 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 bum. You get the general idea.
Yeah.
¿Sí? Bien,
Mm.
bien. Okay.
Bien.
Vale. And okay. Oh, I did have it written out. Okay. Here are all the forms that you need, right? And we just plug that little pronoun in front of it, right? And right, yeah, the pronoun tells who is affected.
Got it.
So the pronoun will be either a me or a te or a
Or
le to talk about one human being, me, you, or somebody else, le,
right.
or the
Plural.
plural ones, nos for us, or les for
Yes.
them. Yeah? Bien? So
Right.
that's what you've got. So, bien, 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 bien. Okay. Let's see if we can. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look again at some pictures. And again, these are word orders that are kind of backwards, reverse, not what you expect, but they're used kind of a lot. And we're going to see if we can create some ideas with these. Bien?
Mhm.
Vale, let's go. Okay. And here are the verbs we're going to use. And they're not going to be yo, or nosotros, or tú. They're going to be a onesie, encanta, or a plural, encantan, right? Who loves it doesn't matter with the conjugation, whether the thing that is loved is a onesie thing or a plural thing. That's what drives that conjugation of that verb encantar. So, or gustar, like, or fascinar, fascinate, or interesar, to be interested in, or importar, to matter to, or molestar, to be bothered by. Okay, so let me show you one example. Una fiesta, rave party. Maybe what I want to say is, I'm just too old to be bothered with this stuff, yeah? And I want to say, I'm not interested in a rave party. I'm not interested in, which verb am I going to pick to say, I don't really care about this thing?
No interest.
Interesar. Let's pick that. And I'm going to make it a negative because I'm just old. Okay. Por ejemplo, no me interesa una fiesta rave. No me interesa. It's not my thing. Yeah? No me interesa una fiesta rave. No me gusta una fiesta rave. No me importa. It doesn't matter to me. No me importa una fiesta rave. See? What if I want to say, it bothers me? It bugs me because it's too loud.
Molestar.
No me molestar.
But
No.
now I'm going to take the no out because I'm going to say it does bother me. So I want to take out the no. It bothers me.
Me molestar.
Me molesta
Um,
la,
una
la fiesta
la fiesta.
rave. ¿Sí? ¿Bien? ¿Vale?
Right.
Ok. Vale. Ok. What if I want to say, Partying at a club. Festejar. Partying at a club. Let's say I want to express the idea of, well, it could be anything. Which verb do you want to say? Love it, like it, fascinated with it, interested in it, it matters to somebody, or it bugs me. And we're going to combine not with party, we're going to combine it with partying.
Partying.
Yeah, the activity. And I've got to tell who
Me.
likes it with a me, a te, a le.
Me encantan is
Me encanta. But the thing that I like is this action. So that's going to mean it's a onesie kind of thing. Me encanta
Festeja.
festear, a festejar en
Festeja.
un club.
Festeja.
Sí,
Festeja.
me encanta festejar en un club. ¿Sí? Vale. Ok. Bien?
sí.
Vale. Let's take a look at this activity. Oh, and actually, this is not an activity. I'm just saying una playa, a beach.
A beach with much people.
With a lot of people. A beach with a lot of people. Do you want to say you love it, you like it, you're interested in it, it matters to you, or maybe it doesn't matter to you, or it bugs you? What do you want to say about that?
It bugs me.
Me molesta.
It bugs me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It bugs me, yeah.
And what's the thing that bugs you? It's
Um,
the beach. It's that
yeah.
situation, right?
crowded.
And
Too crowded.
playa is a singular noun thing. So, okay, vale. How do we build that structure to say, I'm bothered by a beach
crowded.
with all these people?
Me molesta.
Me molesta.
Me molesta.
Me molesta. See, and notice it's not me molesto. I don't bother myself. That's why I can't say me molesto. Me molesta, and then it's backwards. I'm looking at the behind. I'm not looking at subject verb like that nice other pattern we had last week. I'm looking at the beach with all these people. Me molesta una playa con mucha gente. Me molesta. I'm just annoyed by that. Me molesta una playa con mucha gente.
Marilyn, can I ask you a question right here?
Sí, sí.
I was kind of thinking of how I would structure that. I wanted to say, I'm bothered, me molesta, when a beach has many people. Like, could I do that? Cuando una playa hay mucho gente?
Okay,
Mucha gente.
sí, se puede. Sure you can. Let's take a look at that. What I want to say is kind of describe that whole situation. Yeah. Me molesta.
Cuando
Me molesta cuando una playa. And now I've got to throw a little curveball in here.
I thought, oh,
Tenga
has.
mucha
Okay.
gente. Now I'm
Or
talking about
what if I kind of change the sequence?
well, what we
Cuando
kind of changed
I-
is
Sorry. What if I
yeah,
change
no.
the sequence? Me molesta cuando hay mucha gente a la playa.
Me molesta cuando haya mucha gente en la playa. Now you're talking about a theoretical kind of thing, and that's why instead of it's haya, because I'm throwing in a verb. Yeah. Me molesta cuando haya mucha gente. It bothers me when theoretically there are a lot of people at the beach. And I'm not talking about right now, but maybe in that circumstance, when there may be people, a whole bunch of people at the beach. And that is what they call a subjunctive, which is a special kind of thing. It's not just I, it's haya. It's a theoretical. A theoretical. Me molesta cuando haya. It bothers me. There's kind of a long explanation. You don't need to really know why right now, but because I'm building a whole string with a sentence here in a theoretical, I have to have that ya with an at the end instead of just I. So don't worry too much about that. But okay, going to the beach. Let's just talk about going to the beach. Ir a la playa. Ir a la playa. Do you want to say you're interested in it?
I love going to the beach.
I love going to the beach. ¿Cómo se dice? I love going to the beach.
Me
Yeah,
Me
Me
encanta.
encanta. Me encanta ir a la playa.
right.
Me encanta ir a la playa. Me encanta ir a la playa. I love going to the beach.
Mm.
See? If you don't, you just put a no in front of it. No me encanta ir a la playa, right? Me encanta ir a la playa. Bien?
Me
Okay.
encanta when it's not crowded.
Me encanta ir a la playa sin mucha gente,
Okay.
without a lot of people.
Mm. Thank you. Gracias.
See? Sin mucha gente. That's the easiest way because I'm not tagging on any extra verbs that might be hypothetical and therefore in some weird format. Yeah. Me encanta ir a la playa sin mucha gente.
Marilyn, if you were talking about a lot of beaches and you put an S on playas, and
Because you love all beaches.
yeah, then would you put it in cantan?
Let's take a look at that. Qué buena pregunta. What a good question. It depends on how I structure it. If I structure it as going to the beaches, this idea of ir is what that takes over. It's an action. It's now an activity if I use that infinitive going to the beach, ir. Yeah. If I use an infinitive of any kind with that me encanta, it stays me encanta. Stays me encanta. Okay. When will it change to encantan? More than one. Wait a minute. Don't I have beaches more than one? Yeah. But what's dominating is this idea of ir, which is the activity. And the activity rules that says it's got to be gusta. Let's look at when it can become encantan, or excuse me, not gusta, encantar. Here's what happens. If I take out the idea of ir, but if I make that playas, plural, if that is the dominant thing, then it's me encantan las playas. Oh, me encantan las playas de Florida o de Hawaii. There's a much more enchanting place. See, me encantan las playas de Hawaii. What's the difference between this and this? Well, there's not a lot of difference in the ideas, but there's a big difference in the structure. Me encantan goes to a plural kind of verb, encantan, because playas is more than one. And now that idea of ir, going, is grabbed out of our structure. And when I take that verb, that infinitive, out of the structure, now we have to look at, is the thing that is liked a onesie thing or is it a plural thing? And playas, beaches, because you like all beaches, more than
Mhm.
one, right?
Mhm.
In general, it's plural. So it's now a plural verb, encantan. Me encantan las playas. See?
Mm.
Does that make
Sí.
sense?
Makes sense.
Yes.
Tiene
Sí.
sentido. See? Okay. So why are we looking at this? Because it is sentence structure, but the word order, the structure is different than that thing we learned last week of person doing the action and the verb matches up. This is kind of a reverse order thing. And these kinds of verbs, not all verbs, but these kind of verbs often follow that kind of pattern. Okay. So we're going to look at two other pictures, and then I'm going to ask you to plug in some new ideas of your own next week. Okay, bien? But you're going to have two pictures to compare. And remember, these are for these kinds of verbs. These are a much smaller list than those like here are 100 or here are 50 common verbs, right? This is a much smaller kind of list. We're only looking at these verbs up here.
Verbs.
Yeah,
Okay.
these special ones. Okay, bien. So let's talk about going to the store. And I'm talking about the self-checkout lane.
No.
Self-checkout lane. And that's
So-
called cajero is a cashier. But here, this is not a person cashier, right? This is el cajero de autopago. This is a self-paying cashier.
Mm.
Yeah.
Es fácil. No me gusta.
Ah, people have strong feelings about this, yeah? How do you want to talk about how you feel about el cajero de autopago? It's a onesie thing. You like it, you love it, you hate it.
Right.
It doesn't
All of the
interest
above.
you. What do you want to
Me,
say about it? It bothers you?
me molesta.
Me molesta. Me molesta el cajero de autopago en el súper. Oh, it bugs me. Me molesta. And the thing that is doing the bugging, the annoying, is really this el cajero autopago. It's a onesie thing.
Mm.
Okay. Me molesta el cajero de autopago. Let's say I want to say all self-paying. I don't care if it's Home Depot. I don't care if it's a supermarket. I don't care if wherever it is. And I want to
Whatever.
make it plural. Something is going to happen if I make it into cajeros de autopago. If I make it into los cajeros de autopago, what has to happen to that verb up in front, the molesta? It becomes
Molestan.
Molestan.
molestan. We have to add that n sound to the end. Me
Right.
molestan los cajeros de autopago. Me molestan los cajeros de autopago. Okay?
Mhm.
Automatic checkout lanes, they bother me. Because I made this more than one, I've got to have molestan, a
Molest.
plural kind of form.
Mm.
Because it's like all those machines, every single one of them. I don't like any of them. Yeah?
Mhm.
But the me stays the same because I'm the person who's bothered by it, right? If they're bothering you, that me word becomes
Okay.
te.
Hey,
If who is bothered by it is all of us, instead of
Right.
me or te, it becomes
lay,
Like,
no, all of us,
lace.
No.
nos,
Nos.
nos, for for all of us, right? Les would be for them, right? Would be for him or for her, okay? And even if it's usar, usar is not a thing, like cajero is a thing, or cajeros, they are things. But usar is an activity, it will use the singular. So saying, I hate using them, me molesta usar. Usar, an activity, is considered a onesie, singular.
Okay.
So you've got me molesta el cajero autopago, and you've got me molesta usar el cajero autopago. If I talk about doing something, it's considered it's a onesie. Okay.
Right.
But
Got it.
if I make it los cajeros de autopago, all automatic checkout lanes, now I need a plural kind of verb. Me molestan los cajeros de autopago. Okay?
Okay.
Let's pause here for a moment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, bien. We're going to go back to the picture again. You're going to see, and you'll get all these examples so that when you create your own
Good.
examples next week, you're not like left in the dark. Okay,
Full of
let's
good
go back
comments.
and look at one more picture. We've got just time for one more picture. Una más.
Good.
And I'm going to plug in the idea I want you to use. I want to say we're interested in that outdoor cafe. We're interested in it. You know, we're looking over there. And we kind of have this inkling of an idea in our brains that we like this. So to say that we like it, I can't use me, I can't use te, I can't use le or les. I've got to use
No.
No.
nos.
Us.
Oh. Nos. Now, which one of these things is going to say, that's got our attention?
Interesar.
Ah, bien. So I'm going to take that interesa, and the thing that is interesting to us is just one thing, el café. It's a cafe, that place. Okay, it looks inviting. So what do I do with that verb interesar?
Interesa.
Interesta.
Interesa. Nos interesa el café al aire libre. We like that outdoor cafe. Outdoor is just the al aire libre, open air. Okay. Nos interesa el café al aire libre. What if we want to say instead, we're interested in not the cafe, but eating breakfast at the cafe, and which is an activity. And remember, an activity is a onesie. An activity is a onesie. Now I want to say, we're interested in eating breakfast there.
Nos interesta.
Nos interesa.
Interesta.
Interesa.
Nos
Sí,
interesa
onesie.
desayunar
Right.
en el café. ¿Bien?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What if I want to say, momentito. I'm going to plug in a plural idea. I don't want to just say that I want to eat, a onesie idea, or I like or I'm interested in the cafe itself, the physical setting. I want to say the people. I'm interested in the people who are sitting there. Wow, they look kind of like a fun group. Right. Well, and I'm not going to say I'm interested. I want to say we're interested. I want to keep it with the idea we had at the front.
Mhm.
We're interested in those people. The we're part is going to be the little pronoun what?
Nos.
Nos. But now if I'm going to say those people, they are interesting to us. Instead of
Interesan.
interesa, I need
Interestan.
Interesan.
interesan.
Me interesa.
because what that is linking with is they plural are interesting, and I know this because it's a backword. It's not the subject verb, nice, comfortable construction we looked at last week, but it's that backwards kind of thing. Nos interesan las personas en el café.
Mm.
Wow, those people look really interesting. Maybe they're attractive. They look attractive. They look like fun. They look like whatever, right? But because people, more than one is plural, that interesan verb will be plural. They are interesting to us. Bien?
Bien.
Good? See?
Yes.
Ujú.
Bien? Okay, you're going to get a set of 4 pictures, and you can plug in any of those verbs, whatever your personal reaction
Good.
is, right? But we took this out of that simple little thing you saw in the first class of Me encanta el cine. Me encanta ir al cine. I love going to the movies. And we're
Right.
showing you what other kinds of structures can do this, because it's sentence structure, but it's not the nice subject verb. It's kind of that backwards thing. And so you're going to have the examples we use this week, and you'll have the new ideas to talk about, and you can pick any of those verbs to talk about to use them. See? Bien?
Next
Yeah.
week.
Bien? Magnifico. And I'm going to try to dig up that other 100 verb list so you can pick, 3 verbs. Like you're going to have one set of regular verbs that follow the yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos. And you're going to have the funky backwards verbs, some examples of those to prep for next week.
Okay.
Bien?
Bien.
Good? Okay,
Adios.
vale, bien. And you'll also get a listening, like a little storytelling listening audio that just tells a little story, and that'll be it. Wow, I didn't get to questions you might have had on the Walmart thing. Any quick questions on the Walmart video before I forget?
I'll look at it next week. I didn't look at it.
Bien?
Sorry.
Okay, bien. All right, that's it. Eso es todo. Bien?
Okay, thank you.
Bien.
Hasta luego.
Excelente. Muchas gracias por participar.